3 weeks ago, something entered a controlled orbit above Earth that was never supposed to be here. Before we continue, I need you to do something for me. Comment your city name below and tell me, have you noticed anything unusual in the night sky recently? Anything that doesn't move like a star should? NASA is tracking reports from all over the world, and what I'm about to share may change the way you see humanity's place in the universe. I am Dr. Michio Kaku, theoretical physicist, and for the first time in my career, I find myself questioning whether we, as a species, were ready for what we've just discovered. On the morning, astronomers at the Atlas Survey Facility in Hawaii detected what they initially classified as another interstellar object passing through our solar system. They designated it 3I Atlas, following the naming convention for interstellar visitors. The third such object we've ever confirmed from beyond our cosmic neighborhood. The first was Oumuamua in 2017. The second was Comet 2 Boreas in 2019. Both passed through our system exactly as physics predicted, following hyperbolic trajectories that would carry them back into the vast darkness between stars. 3, Atlas was supposed to do the same. It didn't. I was in my office at City College when I received the call. It was from a colleague at JPL, someone I've known for 30 years. His voice was different, shaking. He asked me if I was sitting down, and then he told me something that made my blood run cold. The object had performed a deceleration burn, not a gravitational assist, not a natural orbital deflection, a controlled sustained propulsion event that reduced its velocity by approximately 42 kilometers over the course of 6 hours. Let me be clear about what this means. Natural objects in space do not decelerate. They do not adjust their trajectories with precision burns. They do not enter circular orbits around planets unless captured by gravity over immense timescales and through very specific circumstances. 3 Atlas did all of this in less than 3 days. When I first studied the telemetry data, I went through the 5 stages that I imagine every scientist goes through when confronting the impossible. Denial. There must be an error in the calculations. Anger. Why wasn't this detected sooner? Bargaining. Perhaps there's a natural explanation we haven't considered. Depression. The realization of what this means for everything we thought we knew. And finally, acceptance. We are being visited. The object itself is enormous. Initial spectroscopic analysis suggests a composition unlike anything we've encountered. It's not ice and rock like a comet. It's not metallic like an asteroid. The surface appears to be composed of materials that absorb electromagnetic radiation across almost the entire spectrum. It's dark, impossibly dark, darker than the darkest materials we've engineered in our laboratories. When our telescopes try to image it directly, we see almost nothing. Just a void against the stars, a hole in space where something massive exists. But we know it's there. We know its mass. Approximately 2.3 million metric tons based on its gravitational influence on our satellites. We know its dimensions, roughly cylindrical, approximately 800 meters in length and 200 meters in diameter, and we know its position in a perfectly circular orbit, 35,000 Sohudan, 86 kilometers above Earth's equator. That altitude should sound familiar to you. It's geosynchronous orbit, the same orbit we use for our communication satellites, our weather monitoring systems, our global positioning infrastructure. 3 Atlas positioned itself in the exact orbital band where humanity has placed its most critical space-based technology. That is not a coincidence. For the past 3 weeks, every major space agency on Earth has been in continuous emergency session. NASA, ESA, Roscosmos, CNSA, ISRO, organizations that normally compete are now working together with an urgency I've never witnessed. The public has been told nothing. The official story is that 3I Atlas is an unusual comet being studied for its scientific value. But behind closed doors in classified briefings that I've now been part of, we are confronting a truth that changes everything. We sent a signal. 48 hours after 2, Atlas established orbit. A decision was made at the highest levels. A coalition of scientists and world leaders agreed that if this was indeed an extraterrestrial probe, we needed to attempt communication. The Arecibo message of 1974 was a simple radio transmission sent toward the globular cluster M13. It was symbolic, a demonstration of human capability, never expected to receive a response within our lifetimes given the distances involved. This was different. This was immediate. This was terrifying. We used the combined array of radio telescopes from facilities in New Mexico, Australia, and South Africa to send a carefully constructed message, mathematical constants, the atomic structure of hydrogen, a representation of our DNA, the population of Earth, our position in the solar system. We essentially created a cosmic introduction, a way of saying, we see you, we know you're there, and we want to understand. 18 hours later, 3I Atlas responded. I was in the operations room when the return signal was detected. It came not as radio waves, but as a precisely modulated stream of neutrinos. Do you understand the significance of this? Neutrinos are subatomic particles that barely interact with matter. They pass through entire planets as if they weren't there. To generate a detectable neutrino beam requires technology beyond our current capabilities. To modulate that beam to carry information, that's science fiction made real. The signal lasted 17 minutes. When our quantum computers finished decoding it, we sat in absolute silence for what felt like an eternity. It was a warning, not a threat, not an invasion announcement. A warning. The message contained information about Earth that we had never shared, precise measurements of our atmospheric composition, the distribution of our cities based on nighttime light emissions, the electromagnetic signature of our industrial civilization, the trajectory of our technological development over the past century. And then at the core of the message, something that made every person in that room question the nature of reality itself, a star map showing 2047 solar systems within 4,000 light-years of Earth. Each system was marked with a symbol. Most were gray-neutral markers indicating what we interpreted as lifeless or primitive biospheres. 43 were marked in green, worlds with complex life, biologically diverse but pre-technological. 8 were marked in yellow, civilizations in various stages of technological development similar to our own. And then there was red. 12 systems were marked in red, including our own. The message provided an explanation. In the language of mathematics and physics that transcends any spoken word, 3I Atlas told us that we had been classified as a code red civilization. A species that has developed advanced technology, artificial intelligence, and nuclear capabilities, but has not yet achieved what they called unified consciousness integration. Let me translate what that means. We are a species that has built tools capable of destroying ourselves, but we lack the collective wisdom and cooperation to ensure we won't. We are fragmented, divided by borders, religions, ideologies, and economic systems. We wage wars over resources, while our planet's climate shifts beneath us. We've created artificial intelligence without fully understanding the implications of conscious machines. We've split the atom and reached for the stars while still struggling with poverty, inequality, and existential meaning. In the assessment of whatever intelligence sent 3I Atlas, we are dangerous, not to them, to ourselves. The warning explained that of the 12 civilizations currently marked as code red, 9 have already self-destructed within the past 10,000 years. Their worlds still exist, but they are silent now. Ruins beneath toxic atmospheres, oceans boiled away by runaway greenhouse effects, surfaces cratered by weapons we can't even imagine. The galactic community, and yes, the message confirmed that such a thing exists, watches these civilizations with what I can only describe as cosmic sadness. They've seen it happen hundreds of times across the galaxy. 3. I-Atlas is a monitoring probe, one of thousands distributed throughout the Orion spur of our galaxy, placed in orbit around worlds that have reached critical developmental thresholds. It's not here to conquer us. It's not here to save us. It's here to observe what we do next because there is a test. Every civilization that develops technology faces what the message called the Great Filter. It's a term that's actually been discussed in scientific circles for decades, popularized by physicist Robin Hanson. The idea is simple yet profound. If intelligent life is common in the universe, why don't we see evidence of it everywhere? Where are all the aliens? The Great Filter hypothesis suggests that there's some evolutionary barrier, some challenge that most species fail to overcome. 3I Atlas confirmed that this filter is real and we're in it right now. The message explained that technological civilizations face a critical window of approximately 200 to 500 years from the development of their first industrial engines to either transcendence or extinction. In our case, we began this window around 1850. We're now 175 years in. We have at most a few centuries to either achieve what they call unified consciousness integration, a state where a species collectively prioritizes survival, cooperation, and cosmic citizenship over tribal competition. Or we join the silent majority. The 9 failed code red civilizations didn't die from external threats, they died from internal collapse. Some destroyed themselves in nuclear or biological wars. Others engineered their own extinction through unchecked artificial intelligence that viewed organic life as inefficient. Several poisoned their biospheres beyond recovery in the pursuit of economic growth. One, and this haunts me, successfully uploaded their consciousness into machines but lost something essential in the translation, something that made existence meaningful. They exist now as vast computational networks, but they no longer create, no longer love, no longer dream. They're alive, but not living. The 3 surviving code red civilizations are being watched closely. We are one of them. The other 2 are located in star systems whose names mean nothing to us yet, but they face the same crisis, the same choice. Now, you're probably wondering, what about those 8 yellow civilizations? The ones marked as technological but stable. What did they do differently? According to the message, they achieved something remarkable. They reached a tipping point where cooperation became more advantageous than competition, where the survival of their species became more important than the dominance of any faction within it, where they looked at their planet not as a collection of territories to exploit, but as a fragile oasis in an unforgiving universe that must be protected at all costs. They built global governance systems that actually worked. They transitioned their energy production to sustainable models before climate collapse became irreversible. They developed artificial intelligence as a collaborative partner rather than a replacement for consciousness. They explored space not to escape their problems, but to expand their perspective. And most importantly, they did it without being told how. That's the critical point. The galactic community, these advanced civilizations that have survived their own great filters, they don't interfere. They don't provide technology or solutions because the test isn't about building fusion reactors or faster than light drives. The test is about wisdom, about whether a species can mature emotionally and philosophically as fast as it advances technologically. You can give a child a loaded gun, but it won't make them an adult. They have to grow into the responsibility of that power. We've been given loaded guns, artificial intelligence, genetic engineering, nuclear weapons, climate-altering industry. The question is whether we'll grow up fast enough to handle them wisely. 3i Atlas carries sensors that can detect everything. Every missile launch, every atmospheric test, every forest that burns, every species that goes extinct, every international cooperation treaty, every breakthrough in renewable energy, every act of kindness and every act of violence. It's compiling a record of our species' behavior during this critical period. And here's what keeps me awake at night. The message included a timeline projection based on current trends, multiple scenarios calculated with computing power that makes our most advanced quantum systems look like abacuses. In the most optimistic scenario, humanity achieves unified consciousness integration by approximately the year 2210. We create a functional world government that transcends national interests. We solve the climate crisis through unprecedented global cooperation and technological innovation. We establish ethical frameworks for artificial intelligence that preserve human agency while benefiting from machine intelligence. We expand into space not as competing nations, but as a unified species. We're welcomed into the galactic community, given access to knowledge and resources that would seem miraculous to us. Now, in the most pessimistic scenario, we don't make it past 2095. A combination of climate collapse, resource wars, AI misalignment, and biological warfare creates a cascading failure of our civilization. Our cities fall silent. Our satellites tumble from orbit. The signals that have been radiating from Earth for the past century slowly fade. 3. Atlas watches it all happen, records every moment for the archives of the galactic community, and then moves on to the next candidate civilization. The median scenario, the one their model suggests is most probable based on our current trajectory, falls somewhere in between. We survive, but diminished. Our population drops from 8 billion to perhaps 2 billion by 2150. We retain technology, but lose much of our accumulated knowledge in the chaos of societal collapse and reconstruction. We become what the message called a reset civilization. Species that fail the first attempt at technological development nearly destroy themselves but manage to survive and eventually try again. This process can repeat multiple times across thousands of years until either transcendence or final extinction occurs. I've spent my entire career studying the universe. I've written about wormholes, parallel universes, the nature of time and space. I've explored ideas that push the boundaries of human imagination. But nothing has affected me as profoundly as seeing humanity's possible futures calculated with scientific precision by an intelligence that has watched countless civilizations face this exact same moment. We are not special. That's both humbling and terrifying. We're not the chosen species, not the unique consciousness in the cosmos, not the pinnacle of evolution. We're just another technological species hitting the great filter that every technological species hits. Some pass through, most don't. But here's what gives me hope. The fact that 3i Atlas is here, the fact that we received a warning rather than silence suggests that we still have agency, we still have choice. The galactic community doesn't want us to fail. They're not rooting for our extinction, but they also won't do the work for us because that would defeat the purpose of the test. It's like a parent watching their child learn to walk. You want to catch them every time they stumble. You want to carry them to prevent any fall, but you know that if you do, they'll never develop the strength and balance they need. So you watch, you encourage, and you're ready to help if the fall becomes truly dangerous. But you let them struggle because the struggle itself is what creates capability. Since receiving this message, I've been in discussions with scientists, philosophers, religious leaders, and political figures from around the world. The question we're all grappling with is simple to state, but agonizingly complex to answer. What do we do now? Do we tell the public? Do we reveal that we're being watched, that we're being tested, that our survival as a species depends on choices we make in the coming decades? Some argue that this knowledge would unite humanity like nothing else could, that finally having concrete evidence of extraterrestrial intelligence and understanding the stakes would shake us out of our tribal conflicts and petty differences. Others fear it would cause mass panic, the collapse of religious institutions, and even more chaos during an already unstable period in human history. Do we change our behavior because we're being watched, or do we continue as we are and face the consequences? Is it authentic growth if we only cooperate because we know there's a cosmic surveillance system monitoring our progress? Or does the motivation matter less than the outcome? These are questions without easy answers. What I can tell you is this: 3 Atlas is still there. Right now, as you watch this, it's in geosynchronous orbit above Earth's equator. You can't see it with the naked eye because of its light-absorbing surface, but it's there watching, recording, waiting to see what we become. Every choice we make as individuals and as a species is now part of a record that will outlast our civilization. Every act of compassion, every moment of cooperation across divides, every sacrifice for future generations, every innovation that helps rather than harms. They matter now more than ever, not because we're trying to impress some cosmic authority, but because we're quite literally determining whether humanity has a future that extends beyond the next few centuries. I think about my grandchildren. I wonder what world they'll inherit. Will they live in a unified global civilization that's beginning to explore the stars and communicate with other intelligent species? Will they struggle to survive in a world scarred by our failures, inheriting the consequences of choices we made or failed to make? Or will there be no one to inherit anything at all? The universe doesn't care about humanity. The cosmos will continue with or without us. Stars will be born and die. Galaxies will drift apart in the accelerating expansion of space-time. The laws of physics will operate exactly the same whether conscious minds exist to observe them or not. But we care. We should care because consciousness is rare in this universe. Intelligence is precious. The ability to understand, to create, to love, to find meaning in existence. These aren't common phenomena. They're the universe becoming aware of itself. Matter organizing in such a way that it can contemplate its own existence. To waste that, to let it extinguish through preventable conflicts and short-sighted decisions would be the greatest tragedy I can imagine. 3. Atlas has given us a gift, even if it doesn't feel like one. It's shown us that we're not alone, that there's a galactic community we might one day join, and that the path forward exists. Other species have walked this road. Some succeeded. The fact that they exist means success is possible, but it's also shown us the stakes. The consequences of failure aren't just theoretical anymore. They're documented. They're real. 12 red markers on a star map, 9 of them already silent. We can't know for certain what happens next. The future isn't written, but I do know this. The answer won't come from governments or institutions or even scientists like me. It will come from billions of individual choices made by people all over this planet about what kind of species we want to be. Do we choose cooperation or competition, sustainability or exploitation, long-term survival or short-term gain, wisdom or cleverness, unity or division? 3 Atlas is watching to see what we choose, but more importantly, we're watching ourselves. History will remember this period if there's anyone left to remember it. I began this by asking you to comment your city name below. I want you to do that now, but I also want you to comment something else. What do you think humanity needs to do to pass this test? What changes would you make if you had the power? Because in a way you do have the power, we all do. Collective change starts with individual consciousness. Follow this channel as we continue decoding the universe's final warnings. There's more to this story, more data coming in every day, more pieces of the puzzle being assembled by researchers around the world who are trying to understand what 3i Atlas really represents and what the galactic community expects from us. But for now, I leave you with the question that I ask myself every night when I look up at the sky, knowing that something is up there, watching, waiting, recording our choices. Will we be remembered as the species that passed the great filter, or as another cautionary tale, another red marker that eventually went dark? The answer is being written right now in the decisions we make, the values we prioritize, and the future we choose to build together. What will your contribution to that answer